Welcome, new initiate. Step right in and get settled. Welcome to the Celestial Archives. I'm your guide today, an angelic scholar, and I've been tasked with recording these rather profound chronicles. Consider this your official orientation. Look, if you're going to enter service under the keepers of the sealed sky, you absolutely have to understand the architecture of our protection. So we're going to go through a masterwork of holy fantasy lore that details exactly how angelic entities stand their ground against the 72 demonic crowns of Solomon. Think of this explainer as your foundational text. It's your guide to understanding the kind of light that, well, literally cannot be stolen.
So, here is our syllabus for today's orientation. We're going to cover 5 key areas: the Chamber of Kept Meaning, the 7 Sacred Locks, untarnished oaths and vows, currents against demonic crowns, and finally, the demonic countervault. And hey, I want to be clear, grasping these mechanics isn't just some dry academic exercise, okay? This is vital survival knowledge for any student guarding these archives.
Okay, let's dive straight into this. Section 1. The Chamber of Kept Meaning.
So let's unpack our first major concept. We really need to understand the true nature of the vault, which sits just beneath the First Radiance. Now, the very first thing you have to wrap your head around is that the second vault is not a room made of stone. Not at all. I mean, the First Radiance is pure origin, right? But source alone doesn't explain how raw power actually becomes protection. Instead, the vault is a living horizon. It's suspended right between the unbearable, blinding brightness of the First Radiance and the ordered hierarchies of angelic entities down below. It essentially acts as a giant prism. It takes that raw, overwhelming holy light and gives it shape, turning it into promise, boundary, oath, and command. It does this so the light can actually protect mortals, rather than just obliterating them with its sheer vastness. And it's right here that every single righteous vow ever spoken is preserved, kept perfectly safe before corruption can even try to rewrite it.
Now, guarding this incredible living chamber are the keepers of the sealed sky, and their chief, that's Nahariel. Take a close look at the unbroken ledger he's holding there. You see, Nahariel doesn't command through, fire and brimstone or rolling thunder. No, he commands through exact memory. When demons try to conquer by editing the past, like trying to make mortals completely forget the laws they swore to uphold, or even the names of their taken children, Nahariel simply opens that ledger. He proves that heaven remembers even the promises mortals totally forgot they made, and by restoring that truth, he literally gives a broken people back their spine. It's incredibly powerful.
Moving right along to Section 2, the 7 Sacred Locks.
Okay, so holy power must be entrusted to someone. It can never ever be possessed as property. And this brings us to the incredibly strict, uncompromising requirements of the second vault. The vault actually guards itself using 7 locks of holy protection. We've got truth, mercy, justice, humility, clarity, endurance, and surrender. Think about it. If demonic crowns corrupt through excess, like by inflaming desire or hiding in this fog of unchecked authority, these locks do the exact opposite. They test the rightful measure and restraint of whoever bears the light. For instance, truth only opens when your motive and your words perfectly align. Mercy only opens when punishment actively avoids cruelty. And the 7th lock, surrender, that is hands down the hardest. It's the absolute surrender of ownership. The exact second a guardian thinks, "This light is mine," bam, the lock snaps completely shut. Power is at its absolute holiest when it protects something beyond itself.
To really bring this home, let's look at the cautionary tale of the trial of Arasiel. So Arasiel was this magnificent angel, Mortals absolutely loved him for his dramatic, sweeping arrivals and his miraculous healings. But when he went up to request a mandate at the Silver Gate, he completely failed the fourth lock: humility. Actually, scratch that. He wasn't a tyrant or anything, but he had this very subtle, very dangerous flaw. He loved being necessary. He was making mortals completely dependent on his miracles instead of helping them build their own courage. So what did the vault do? The rule is teach before you rescue. Araciel was sent away to spend 100 mortal years just quietly guiding healers and inspiring neighbors. No spectacle, no magic shows, just quiet work. And only after a century of that did the lock of humility finally click open. The vault only trusts those who refuse to make themselves the main character.
All right, heading deeper in. Section 3, Untarnished Oaths and Vows. We are transitioning much deeper into the vault right now. We're looking at how it actively fights back against the demonic obsession with contracts. And it does this by using something entirely different. Welcome to the Archive of Untarnished Oaths. I mean, just look at how it glows. Every single shelf in here is a corridor that's literally longer than a kingdom, and the oaths just sit here glowing like little seeds under glass. You know how demonic powers usually attack, right? Through contracts. They offer you wealth or victory, but always in exchange for your absolute obedience. Well, the second vault's answer to that is these untarnished oaths. We're talking about ordinary, completely honest promises made by people who gain absolutely nothing from keeping them. The angelic entities assigned here are called the vow bearers, and when they see an oath out there in the world that's near collapse, they don't force anyone to obey. Instead, they descend into mortal dreams just to remind those struggling humans of the original, pure light of their sacred promise. Let me tell you, a soul anchored by a true promise, that is an incredibly hard soul for a demon to purchase.
Which brings us to Section 4, Currents Against Demonic Crowns.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how we look at the mechanics of this. Once the locks are passed, how does this holy power actually get into the world to fight corruption? Well, it flows outward in 4 very distinct currents: holy law, holy memory, holy boundary, and holy witness. And the vault uses these currents to precisely counter very specific demon tactics. Because let's be real, the demons of Solomon don't all use the exact same playbook, so the vault can't just swing a blunt hammer at all of them. Take the demon Asmodeus, for example. He twists desire until it literally burns right through your dignity. The vault doesn't answer that with rage. It answers with the combined currents of mercy and clarity. It completely refuses both shame and indulgence. Or look at Asophrith, who loves to turn old wisdom into pure despair. The vault counters him by sending endurance, proving once and for all that truth absolutely does not need to rot away into cynicism. The power of the vault is pinpoint precise, and honestly, that precision terrifies corruption way more than any thunderbolt ever could.
And finally, Section 5, the Demonic Counter Vault.
So, when the demonic forces finally figured out they could never actually breach the second vault, they tried something so much more insidious. They tried to pirate it. They built this massive black mirror deep beneath the ruined plain of Sable Orison, and they called it the Counter Vault. Down there, the demons just mimicked the structure of the true vault, but they twisted every single virtue. Truth? That became exposure without a single drop of compassion. Mercy became this twisted permission for evil to just keep on going. Justice was turned into revenge, just dressed up with some fancy ceremony. And you know, it actually worked on mortals for a little while, creating these whole sects of false, cruel judges. But then the keepers finally cracked open just one narrow window of the true second vault. They sent in a single, solitary beam of pure, lawful light. And the counter vault? It completely collapsed under the sheer weight of its own contradictions. Demonic imitation might be able to mimic the structure of a thing, but it absolutely cannot bear the truth.
let's ground all these high celestial mechanics in reality for a second. Consider this mortal witness, Malin of Ashrode. Now, Malin wasn't a saint. She wasn't some legendary warrior. She was just a humble road scribe. Her job was to record the names of travelers right after the horrific beast plague. One day, a demonic crown showed up, wearing the face of a local magistrate, and he ordered every single record to be destroyed. His argument was that the living shouldn't be burdened by the dead, but Malin totally defied him. She took her books, hid them beneath the broken floor tiles, and kept writing down names by the faint light of a single blue coal.
Eventually, of course, the false magistrate tracked her down. He stood there and demanded to know why these names even mattered when all the bodies were already gone. And Malin looked at him and gave this incredibly profound justification. She said, because a person forgotten twice has been murdered twice. It was just that. That simple, incredibly honest vow to simply remember a dying child that stirred a tiny seed of light far, far above in the archive of untarnished oaths.
Which brings us to the final showdown in the roofless hollow basilica. The demon is there, literally burning a whole cart full of documents, erasing debts, erasing marriages, apologies, all because he wanted to turn the community into this easy, forgetful, moldable clay. But then Malin walks in. She's carrying her hidden ledgers. She has no sword, her hands are shaking, but she just opens the first book and reads the first name out loud. And every single name she spoke rang out like a bell. Malin's simple act of defiance summoned the current of holy witness. It brought down this impossible, piercing attention that completely shattered the false magistrate's illusion, finally revealing his true, cracked, demonic crown for everyone to see.
You know what's wild? As the angelic powers descended and started binding the demon in these chains of lawful light, chains that were literally forged from the very truths the demon had just tried to erase, the demon actually screamed that mercy was weakness. But Nahario was there, and he delivered this absolute powerhouse of a ruling. He said, mercy without truth is fog. Truth without mercy is a blade without a hand. See, demonic chains are designed to reduce a soul to mere possession. But holy chains, they only restrain the parts of you that destroy. Holy restraint is there to expose the wound so it can be cleaned. It leaves the door wide open for repentance. The whole point is to heal, not to just throw you in a prison.
And so, initiate, we've reached the end of your archival orientation. Malin didn't get some shiny crown of light for her incredible bravery, by the way. You know what she got? She got another ledger. And she got the strength to just keep writing, even after all the gratitude faded away. That's the thing. Holy power rarely shows up as fire raining down from the sky. Most of the time, it arrives simply as the quiet courage to remember what is true, especially when everyone around you is begging to forget it. The second vault is wide open, the currents are actively flowing, and the archives are waiting for you. So tell me, Initiate, are you ready to keep the honest record?